As the briefing concluded and the officers began to disperse, Arra found herself rooted in place, a maelstrom of emotions raging within her. She thought of Jack, the grizzled veteran whose mentorship had guided her through her earliest battles, of Nara, the tech genius whose biting wit and unflappable demeanor had become a source of comfort in even the duress of circumstances, and TV, the young hotshot sniper whose skills were matched only by his loyalty and devotion to those he considered family. They had been through hell together, forging bonds that transcended the rigid hierarchy of the military. To abandon them now, to leave them at the mercy of the unforgiving forces that ravaged Agrana's septum, was unthinkable. As Arra made her way back to her quarters, her steps heavy with determination, she knew what she had to do. The Orion High Command might be content to sacrifice her friends for the sake of their objectives, but she would not stand idly by. Shedding her uniform, she began assembling her gear, weapons, armor, and every piece of specialized equipment she could requisition. This would be an unsanctioned mission, one that could potentially brand her as a deserter or a rogue element, but such concerns paled in comparison to the debt she owed her friends. They were more than just comrades in arms, they were family, bound by shared experiences and sacrifices that civilians could never comprehend. An Arra would move heaven and earth to bring them home, even if it meant defying orders and venturing into the heart of the chaos that consumed Agrana's septum. As she secured the last of her gear, Arra's gaze fell upon the holographic image of her friends, frozen in time, their faces alight with the carefree grins of soldiers on leave. A steely resolve settled over her features, and she made a silent vow she would not rest until they were safe, until their family was whole once more. The path ahead would be treacherous, but Arra had been forged in the fires of countless battles. She was a warrior of the Orion civilization, and no force in the galaxy could deter her from this mission, a personal crusade fueled by the bonds of friendship and the unyielding refusal to leave anyone behind. Arra's declaration of her intent to mount an unsanctioned rescue mission was met with a wave of concern and skepticism from her superiors. As she stood before General Kragan and his staff, she could see the disapproval etched on their faces, a mix of disbelief and disappointment at her apparent disregard for protocol. "Lieutenant Vaidan, I understand your personal attachment to your missing comrades," the general began, his voice carrying the weight of authority. "But you must recognize the larger stakes at play here. Agrana's septum is a powder keg, and our mission is to secure the mining operations, not engage in a costly rescue operation that could jeopardize everything." Arra steeled herself, her jaw set in determination. "With all due respect, sir, I cannot abandon my friends to the chaos on that planet. They are more than just fellow soldiers, they are family. And in the Orion military, we have an unspoken code: no one gets left behind." A murmur rippled through the room, and Arra could see some of the officers nodding in agreement. For all the bureaucracy and political maneuvering that governed their operations, the bond between soldiers on the battlefield was a sacred thing, transcending ranks and protocols. "You would be disobeying direct orders," Lieutenant Kragan warned, his brow furrowed. "Such an action could be construed as desertion, punishable by court-martial." "Then I'm prepared to face those consequences," Arra replied, her voice unwavering. "But I will not stand idly by while good soldiers, my friends, are left to die on that forsaken planet." An uneasy silence fell over the room, the weight of Arra's words hanging in the air. She could see the conflict playing out on the faces of her fellow officers, torn between duty and the bonds of camaraderie that bound them all. It was then that a voice spoke up from the back of the room, one that Arra recognized instantly: Major Corin, a grizzled veteran who had served alongside her father. "The lieutenant is right," Corin growled, stepping forward. "We don't leave our own behind, no matter the orders. If she's determined to go after her friends, she'll need support, and I'm offering mine." A ripple of agreement spread through the ranks, and one by one, other officers stepped forward, voicing their willingness to join Arra's mission. She felt a swell of gratitude and pride, realizing that her comrades understood the depth of her conviction and the unbreakable bonds that drove her. General Kragan's expression remained inscrutable as he surveyed the scene before him. Finally, he raised his hand, calling for silence. "Very well, Lieutenant," he said, his voice heavy with resignation. While I cannot officially sanction this operation, I will not stand in your way. But know this, you and those who choose to accompany you will be operating without the protection or resources of the Orion military. The consequences of your actions will be yours alone to bear." Arra nodded, her expression resolute. "Understood, sir, and thank you." As she turned to leave, gathering those who had volunteered to join her mission, Arra felt a sense of purpose burning within her. This would be no ordinary operation, bound by the rigid constraints of protocol and strategy. This was a quest born of loyalty, friendship, and an unshakable belief in the bonds that held the Orion military together. Though the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty and peril, Arra knew that she would not walk it alone. Her comrades, bound by that same unspoken code, would stand by her side, risking everything to bring their brothers and sisters home. For in the chaos of war, it was those bonds forged in the crucible of battle and tempered by shared sacrifice that mattered most, and Arra would stop at nothing to honor them. With the support of her fellow officers solidified, Arra wasted no time in assembling the team that would accompany her on the unsanctioned rescue mission to Agranus Septim. She knew that the challenges they would face required a diverse array of skills and specialties, each member bringing a unique set of capabilities to the table. First, she sought out Zara Kyrell, a tech genius whose prowess with hacking and electronic warfare was unmatched. Zara's diminutive stature and unassuming demeanor belied a brilliant mind and a wicked sense of humor, both of which had served her well in the field. When Arra explained the mission, Zara didn't hesitate, her eyes gleaming with excitement at the prospect of taking on the formidable security systems that guarded Agranus Septim. Next was Rafe Dorn, a former reconnaissance specialist whose skills in stealth and infiltration were legendary. Rafe had been born on one of the Outer Rim mining colonies, and his intimate knowledge of their layouts and security protocols would prove invaluable. Despite his gruff exterior, he harbored a deep respect for Arra and her comrades, and the thought of leaving them behind was abhorrent to him. The team's firepower came in the form of Jax Croven, a hulking mountain of a man whose prowess with heavy weapons was matched only by his unwavering loyalty. Jax had served alongside Arra's father during the Rallian campaigns, and he saw this mission as an opportunity to honor that legacy. His booming laughter and irreverent sense of humor belied a keen strategic mind and a steadfast commitment to the mission. For medical expertise, Arra turned to Dr. Ayla Veras, a trauma surgeon whose skills had been honed on the front lines of countless war zones. Ayla's calm demeanor and unwavering professionalism were balm in even the most chaotic of situations, and her ability to keep cool under pressure would be invaluable on Agranus Septim. Rounding out the team was Kel Darren, a former sniper whose keen eyes and steady hands had saved Arra's life on more than one occasion. Kel was a man of few words, but his loyalty was unquestionable, and he would follow Arra into the depths of hell itself if she asked. As the team assembled in the hangar bay, each member bringing their specialized gear and equipment, Arra couldn't help but feel a swell of pride and gratitude. These were the soldiers she had trusted with her life time and again, and now they were risking everything to join her on this unsanctioned mission. "You'll know the risks," she addressed them, her voice carrying the weight of command. "This won't be like any operation we've undertaken before. We'll be operating without support, without backup, and in the heart of one of the most volatile war zones in the galaxy." She paused, letting the gravity of her words sink in. "But we're doing this for Jack, Nara, and TV, their family, and we don't leave family behind." A chorus of nods and murmurs of assent met her declaration, each member of the team understanding the depth of the bonds that drove them. "Then let's get to work," Arra said, a determined smile playing across her lips. "We've got some friends to bring home." As they boarded the sleek transport that would carry them to Agranus Septim, Arra knew that the challenges ahead would be daunting. But with this team at her side, a collection of the most skilled and loyal soldiers she had ever known, she felt a sense of confidence and resolve that steeled her for the trials to come. They were more than just a unit, they were a family forged in the fires of battle, and on Agranus Septim, they would face those fires once more, united in their quest to bring their brothers and sisters home. As the team made their final preparations for the journey to Agranus Septim, Arra knew there was one more crucial element she needed to secure: the expertise and battlefield experience of Marcus Draven. an aging but legendary figure within the Orion military ranks. Marcus had earned a reputation as a brilliant strategist and an uncompromising warrior, his exploits the stuff of legend passed down through the generations. But he was equally renowned for his cantankerous demeanor and his disdain for the pomp and circumstance that often accompanied military life. When Arra found him in the officers' lounge, nursing a glass of Orion brandy, the grizzled veteran fixed her with a steely glare that would have sent lesser soldiers running. "Vidan," he growled, his voice a rumbling baritone. "Word is you're putting together a suicide squad to go charging into that hellhole on Agrana's septum." Arra met his gaze unflinchingly, knowing that despite his gruff exterior, there was a bond between them that transcended rank or protocol. "You know me too well, Marcus," she replied, taking a seat across from him. "I can't just leave my friends behind, not after everything we've been through." Marcus snorted derisively, taking a long swig of his brandy. "And I suppose you're here to ask for my help on this little unsanctioned adventure of yours." Arra nodded, her expression earnest. "You know I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Your experience and strategic mind could mean the difference between success and failure, between bringing our people home or leaving them to die on that forsaken rock." For a moment Marcus was silent, his gaze distant as if weighing the gravity of her words. Then, with a heavy sigh, he drained his glass and rose to his feet. "All right, Vidan," he grumbled. "I'll join your little crusade. But not for the glory or the accolades I owe your father a life debt, and this is how I'll repay it." Relief washed over Arra, tempered by the knowledge that persuading Marcus to join had been a battle in itself. She knew the scars that haunted the grizzled veteran, the ghosts of past battles that had left him jaded and weary of the pageantry of war. As they made their way to the hangar, Marcus fell into step beside her, his presence a reassuring constant in the chaos that was about to unfold. "You know, Vidan," he rumbled, his voice tinged with something akin to affection. "Your old man would be proud of you, charging headlong into this mess like a true soldier of Orion. Just don't go getting yourself killed, or I'll have to hear his nagging from beyond the grave." Arra couldn't help but chuckle at the gruff sentiment, knowing that beneath Marcus's crusty exterior lay a heart that still beat with the same loyalty and camaraderie that had forged their bond. As they boarded the transport, Arra caught Marcus's eye, offering him a nod of gratitude. With him by her side, their chances of success had increased tenfold, but more importantly, she knew that she wouldn't be facing the trials ahead alone. For in the chaos of war, it was the bonds forged in battle that mattered most. And with Marcus watching her back, Arra felt a renewed sense of determination to bring her friends home, no matter the cost. I hope you enjoyed the story so far. It's just part of a much longer and grander story. Please be sure to subscribe and drop a like too. The next part of the story will be in the top left once it's out.